Hello and welcome back, everybody, to MTG Insider with me, your host, Damien, where we cover everything competitive Magic related. And today we've got a special guest. That's right. Coming all the way to us from New York, I believe. And before
That's
that,
right. Yeah.
from Barcelona, we've
Yep.
got
Yep.
former top 8 competitor at Pro Tour Amonkhet way back in the day. I remember him crushing that limited portion of that tournament with that Slitherblade deck. This perfection.
Yeah.
As
It was
well
nice.
as two GP wins and what, nine top 8 finishes at GPs. That's incredible. A lot of those were limited finishes too, which is amazing. It's Christian Calcano. Thank you for being with
Right.
us.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
You're awesome, dude. I loved watching you play at Barcelona. I've been watching you play for, God, I mean, years. I came back to competitive Magic in around 2006, and I think, yeah, you were playing back then, but I remember hearing you a lot about you around like 2010, 2012. That's when
Yeah.
you were crushing that GP circuit, and yeah, it's great to have you here. So how was the flight back? How was the trip to Barcelona overall?
Yeah. I mean, overall, the trip was amazing. I got to see a lot of friends. Obviously, the tournament went really well, and
Yeah.
I did like some vacation time with a friend after. That was a really good time. And yeah, I'm happy to be back. And now I'm just looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it was an awesome pro tour to watch. But we're gonna start at the start here. I'd love to hear. I ask a lot of players about this because I'm interested in it. But I know a lot of regular Magic players who don't get to go to these tournaments. They want to know a little bit maybe about the travel and everything. Now, you are one of the true grinders of Magic, which I love. Like there were a couple of pros who would like you guys try and go to a lot of different events. You're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
For this trip in particular. What was it like? You've been to Barcelona before, I believe, right? For the
Yeah,
last pro
yeah,
tour.
I've been to Barcelona many times. It's one of my
Hmm,
favorite European cities. But yeah,
yeah,
for this one, I got to Barcelona like Sunday before the event, and we
good.
had a house like 50 minutes outside of the city, like in a mountain area, and that was pretty nice. It was a big
Nice.
house.
Hmm.
We were 18 of us. Nice
18.
pool. Yeah, yeah, it
Oh,
was it was crazy. It was
sweet.
yeah, it was like also it was like there were like a lot of young players and a lot of old players, so it was an interesting,
Yeah,
collaboration of older players and newer players, and it was pretty cool
yeah.
experience overall.
Yeah, it was you were testing with Team Worldly Council, right? I believe
That's
that's what they're
right. Yeah.
called. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, they're pretty sweet. I saw the picture on Twitter and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of names I recognize, and like you said, a good mix of young and old, and a wide range of experience and stuff. So the testing, I mean, you get to the house, all these people are there. I mean, everybody's, even though you got a nice pool and beautiful weather and everything, everybody
Hmm.
wants to get down to business and start testing. But before we get to that, even just leading up to this is pretty funny. I know, you've talked about this before on coverage and stuff, but you went to Europe on a vacation at one
Yeah.
point. This is earlier this year, and you were like, "Hey, there's a regional championship qualifier. I'm gonna join it." Were you
Yeah.
planning this at all to join while you were?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so basically, pretty much, I wanted to get out of the United States. I was just like, I really, because I did a lot of traveling before the pandemic, so
Hmm.
I had already traveled a bit throughout the states since things started opening up, and then like for me, the next step was just like, all right, when's my next trip outside of the states? So there was the regional in Napoli coming up,
Oh
and
yeah.
I've never been to Naples, and Italy's really sweet, and one of my best friends lives in Italy, Andrea Mangucci.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so basically, I just like came up with like a 2-week vacation where I would go to like different parts of Italy, see multiple friends. I stayed with Andrea for like 4 days and like tested
Oh, that's
standard,
awesome.
like, so I was helping like him and the guys that were qualified for the regional test, and then also
Hmm.
they were helping me test as well, since I was gonna try to play the last chance to get into the event. And in the
Right.
end, I played it, but I didn't qualify. But it got me a voucher to play in the regional qualifier that Sunday. So I
Okay.
woke up in the morning, played in that, and then I top aided that, which qualified me for
Right.
Athens. So
Right.
which was not part of the plan, but it was like, okay, well, I guess
Well,
I have
I
this I
have
have
to
this
now.
Athens I have this Athens invite now, so let's see what happens. And then I like played some qualifiers in the states because they were like the PTQs at the next Pro
Right.
Tour in Minneapolis, and I got really close there. I lost the finals. I lost in the
Oh.
quarterfinals, back-to-back days. So
Hmm.
then, the last chance was just to go to the regional, and you can
Hmm.
only play one regional. So
Right.
I went to Athens, and then I got the job done in top 16 there, and
Yeah.
that's how I got to
Yeah, I
go
love
to
that
PC
story.
Barcelona.
And that was like a month before the PT, right? That was like really close. It
Yeah.
was like super close. You were one of the last people to qualify, right?
No, yeah, it was the weekend of like it was the second weekend of June, that
Right. Okay,
regional.
okay. Right,
And
right, right.
pretty much right after that, I was taken off to Vegas for multiple weeks to play poker.
Right, right.
So I didn't, it was pretty much like I was just like gone from work for like 2 months. And I
Yeah.
just like went to Athens, went to Vegas, then came back to the States, tested like online a bunch, and then went to Spain to meet up with the crew.
Yeah, and you do most of your testing obviously on Magic Online, or do you get together locally with a lot of people to test like before you head out?
No, nothing locally, just mostly online. But even
Mhm.
online is tough for me because I'm more, I'm more used to like the old way of testing, like for these pro tours where we would get the house for like multiple days in advance and test a bunch in person. At least that's like the part of the testing where I feel like I benefit the most, like
Yeah,
leading up
for
to the
sure.
pro tours. So
Cool.
like back in the day, we used to go for much less, like sorry, for much more time before. But since most of the testing's online, we only
Yeah.
do the house for like a few days now. So
Yeah. Yeah, things are different, I guess, now. I mean, when you've
yeah,
been playing at that level for as long as you have, I imagine a lot of that kind of stuff changes. But let's get into it. So now you're at the house, you're in Barcelona, you guys are testing. So obviously you're splitting your time between limited and constructed. And this was a
yeah,
weird one, I know, because limited, I mean, normally you don't get the set this far in advance, but it was
right,
like
right,
a month or something in
yeah.
advance of the Pro Tour. So a lot of people were testing. Like I played a bunch of the format. I thought it was quite good. I know it's people are divided on how good Lord of the Rings is. I enjoyed it, but in terms of the house, do you guys divide up and say, okay, you guys work on limited, you're going to do constructed, and then we're all going to get together and share notes, or how did you guys divide up that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so there was a lot of the drafting was online, of course, and
Hmm.
so like people would like insert the results into a spreadsheet, and we get to see like how the different archetypes did and such. I didn't get
Right.
to do too many of those online because I was just busy like being in Vegas a lot of the time.
All
But
right.
like once we got to the house, we did a lot of drafts in person as well, and pretty much like whoever I guess either like felt comfortable like with their constructed deck because there were a few people who were like already locked in since it's
Yeah.
modern.
Right.
But pretty much like just people we like kind of drafted based on demand, and there was definitely
Hmm.
a lot of demand. But yeah, I did like I think maybe 3 or 4 house drafts, I believe,
Nice.
and yeah, it was really good, and it's also like you can draft a bunch online, but
Hmm.
you really need to do like those live in person drafts,
Yeah.
the way it's gonna go down at the pro tour, and like just playing against people only in your pod and stuff. I feel like that's a big
Oh, I mean, the
like
skill
it's a big deal
difference.
to like, yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
big deal to like basically you really want to test for the event like in the same, like if you can, obviously, because not everyone can do it, but if you can, you want to test in the same environment that you're playing the event in.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's why like the paper testing, in person testing with both draft and constructed is I feel so important.
Oh, totally. I mean, even the way like you can't lay your cards out in a grid the way it displays it on Magic Online. Even just having to
Mhm.
sift through them in your hand. I mean, if you're not used to kind of doing that, yeah, for sure. And again, the skill difference I think is huge between. I know there's a big skill gap between Arena and Magic Online. Like a lot of people are saying, if you're going to test for a big tournament, don't be drafting on Arena. But even Magic Online versus the kind of quality, or caliber of player you're going to face at the Pro Tour is different. And
Mm,
our players going to force certain things more often at the Pro Tour, where online,
right.
people might just go with the flow more. Or, yeah, so you're absolutely right. That's interesting. So what about constructed? So you said some people had their decks locked in right away. Now,
Yeah.
yourself, did you come into this like you had played some modern? Like, what were you thinking going in? Lord of the Rings just drops. The ring is
Yeah.
everywhere. Bowmasters. Yeah.
Yeah. So like honestly, like I hadn't played modern at all before Lord of the Rings. I mean, I played
Ah.
modern like a long time ago, but
Right. Right.
in the last like couple of years, like however the format was, like I'm not very familiar with it. I just don't play much Magic Online before this, but
Right.
coming into this, I pretty much had to like learn the format like from the beginning, and so like one of the decks I was gravitated towards very early on was the red black evoke deck,
Yeah.
because I just felt that for someone like me who wasn't too familiar with the format, having a deck like this where, I just feel like it's a hard deck to play for sure, but it
Hmm.
just you get to work with like a lot of information. Like you have the open deck list, and then you get like all the
Right.
discard effects. So I just feel like it's it was a pretty solid deck to start on.
Right.
And then like getting closer to the event, like at least I want to say a week and a half before, maybe 2 weeks before, one of my teammates, Tony Martos, he's the one who told me that he thinks that Tron was really good and that we should be
Hmm.
playing it. That
Hmm.
it got the best. The One Ring was just like a huge game changer for the deck, and not
Right.
many people were going to be prepared for it, and it was the best One Ring deck. So that's when I started playing that a bit more, and I was like happy to play it because I played Tron way back when.
Right. Tron is a
So
familiar. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just, in the end, like as we got closer to the day, I was between those two decks, like 50-50, and then the night before lock, I just settled on Tron.
Yeah, and that's funny. Like, I was reading actually. I think Li Shi Chan was on your team, was he not?
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
and he wrote an article I saw a little bit after the Pro Tour, and he was kind of
yeah.
breaking down the deck and stuff. And I was like, okay, he called it the anti ring deck. He's like, there's
Mhm.
ring decks, and then there's like non ring decks, and then there's the ring decks trying to beat the decks that are trying to beat the ring. So he's like,
Yeah,
Tron
yeah,
is one of those. Like it's going way
yeah.
over the top. So initially you were on Rakdos Scam or Rakdos Evoke,
Mhm.
and and then yeah, the teammates kind of convinced you and said, no, look, like, but and that's the irony here is that Tron actually doesn't have that great a match against Rakdos Scam. I mean,
Yeah,
so
it
you,
doesn't, but like playing against it,
yeah,
uh, whoever was on the play was winning a lot more. So I felt that we
aha,
felt that like it wasn't this unwinnable matchup or anything. So
right,
and since we felt that it was still like a fine matchup, not good, obviously bad, but not like super like unfavorable,
hmm,
then we just felt that Tron was just the best deck to play because it just was so well positioned against four color rhinos, creativity, all these other decks.
right,
So yeah, it was
interesting.
kind of just like a no brainer for us. And then decks like Burn, we didn't expect much at all. So,
Hmm.
which was like another
Yeah.
matchup that was pretty bad. Like literally, like when we were going through the sideboard guide and we got to like Burn, it was just GG. Like we just
Yeah. Well, because most of your sideboard is Karn tutor targets, right? I mean, that's
Right,
the
right.
downside of playing something like Karn. You don't have many
Yeah,
sideboard slots left to shore up, yeah, burn matchup or combo. So yeah, Tron, I guess, is not, it's great against the interactive decks, but it's not great against the non-interactive decks, like the combo decks, the burn, the decks that don't care what you're doing. They're just gonna like try and kill you as soon as possible, kind of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, now this is interesting too because you guys, Team Worldly Council and Team Handshake, both kind of arrived at the same place. Like you guys both
yeah,
identified that Tron is actually pretty good here. It's going way over the top of everybody. It utilizes the One Ring maybe better than the other decks. Four color control and these other decks are good, but they aren't really good against a lot of other ring decks. They're good against
mhm,
non-ring decks, but they're not good at, if I'm going to try and beat the ring decks like four color, I'll play Tron. But your lists are
right, right.
different. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
looking, yeah. So like one of the big differences, of course, main deck dismembers and stuff. And you guys shaved a copy of One Ring. You guys were playing three One Ring, three Oblivion Stone, and I was kind of curious about like what made you shave a ring after everybody just is all in awe about this card. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I briefly brought up like if we should just play all the rings main deck, but
yeah,
I was like shut down on that. But basically, it was just it was just in there as another Karn tutor target. But
uh-huh.
in retrospect, I feel like it's probably better to play the four rings main deck just because, like as I played more games, especially throughout the tournament, like I did tutor it a couple of times, but it wasn't really like I don't know. I just feel like it's probably just better to have it in your deck overall. Like, you just kind of want
Yeah,
to draw into it, and because basically, if you're doing like Karn on turn three, like you're not playing that ring until a turn after or whatnot, and
yeah.
that might be too late. So
Too many
I don't
hoops
know.
to jump through. Yeah, rather just
Yeah, yeah,
draw it, right? Yeah.
But yeah, but their list was honestly pretty amazing. Like, but yeah, I expected sorry, I want to say yeah, I mean their list was perfect for the metagame that they expected, just
Hmm.
because the Invoke deck was the most played deck, and having three dismembers, like pretty much like the way you lose to that deck is when they turn one Fury you, and you have
Right.
no, because they you just can't race that.
Yeah.
So having three dismembers is just perfect. So
Yeah.
uh, they definitely had like the better list for the field, but like
Hmm.
our list was better against their version, because
Right.
their version, like it was worse at getting to Tron, whereas ours
Huh.
was better because we had more more stars, we had
More
all the
consistent.
Sylvan Scryings, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, it
Cool.
was it was very interesting. Yeah.
Did you guys? I'm just curious. One last thing on this deck. Did you actually know what the like after the dust settled? How many times did you guys face the Tron mirror, and what was your win percentage against the mirror? So you guys were set up. You think?
I don't know. I don't know about the others, but I personally I played against it 3 times. I played against Javier and Simon twice, and
Right.
I beat Simon twice, and I lost to Javier. So,
Right. 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 Oh, interesting. Sweet. So, any final thoughts on the metagame? So, you guys are all locked in. You're on the Tron deck. I'm sure there's some other teammates that are playing something else. But before you go
mhm.
into it, your final thoughts. You were happy with the deck. You were confident in the choices, the sideboard, everything. You were ready to go, or was there any last minute waffling?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me personally, like, I wasn't like 100% confident, just because like
Hmm.
it's not like I didn't get to play like a ton of games.
Uh
So,
huh.
I was just kind of, but I mean, I felt good overall, just because I know I just know, like, if I can make Tron and I have infinite mana, like I can probably
it
figure it out from there.
it's a Tron
Yeah.
deck. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so yeah, I mean, I felt confident. Like, also my teammates like instilled a lot of
Yeah.
confidence in me. Like, even like even Lee, who like Lee, he watches games a lot more than he plays in testing. That's
Hmm.
that's just how he's able to kind of like understand like meta games better. For it works for him. and
Interesting. That makes
and
sense.
uh
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and he just looks at me like when I
Oh, sorry. Christian, you there?
yeah,
Oh,
I'm here.
sorry, your video just cut out for a sec. That's okay. Just repeat what you said there. I missed that. I'll cut that. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And no, he said he's just like, he's watching me play Tron after having watched me play the Evoke deck, and he was just like, "Oh, you should definitely play Tron at this tournament. Like, just looking at you, like the way you play the deck, like you're more confident in the deck, so like you should just play that deck." And I
Wow.
was just like, "Okay."
He
Like, I was like,
knew.
"All right, I'll take the vote of confidence." I wasn't like locked
Wow.
in there at that point, but yeah, I
Damn.
mean,
So he knew. He saw
uh,
you play it. He's like, you understand this deck. You play this deck well, and yeah, you should rock this deck. Don't play some other thing. Wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh.
like I
Mhm.
was just saying, like the thing, because the thing I already knew before having picked up the deck was I knew like exactly like the sequencing in terms of like trying to maximize like getting turn three Tron. Like, I
Right.
just know, like, which order to play my spells in, like either the spheres or the maps or the stirrings or the scrying,
Yeah.
etc. So
The
I think that's like,
fundamentals.
yeah, so I knew how to do all that pretty well, and like the rest is kind of just uh
Hmm.
the mulliganing, which you like figure out more as you play.
Right. I mean, the Tron mirror is just mulligan until you get Tron. Both players are just trying to mulligan. It's like crazy or something.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. With a lot of mulligans in the mirror for sure.
other matches though, yeah, mulligan obviously really important. But also, like you said, it's funny. I think a lot of people skip that step. If you're picking up Tron and you want to learn the deck, they're like, okay, I need to know the Karn targets and what to do with this, and really just get your fundamentals down, right? Like you're saying,
Yeah,
I know when to play sphere, I know when to play map, I know when to play this. Like there's times where you should play one over the other, and we'll get to this. But some of the games I remember seeing, thinking, wow, yeah, you can tell, especially in the top eight, you really knew exactly what to play in what order. The sequencing and everything was, you had it down pat. It was awesome to see. But okay, so let's jump to the tournament. So we
mhm.
get to the tournament, you're there, kicking things off, and man, you hit the ground running. You got what, the first draft, you 3-0'd the draft. Do you want to go quickly
Yeah,
over how that went? What did you start with there?
yeah. I sat down and I was just like super excited because
Yeah.
it's that's my favorite part of the tournament itself is
Oh
just like
yeah.
sitting
I
down
love
for like the
limited.
first draft
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, getting to open that pack, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had a nice pod. I had like Carl Sarup on my left, who was
Mm-hmm.
one of the Team Handshake members, and he top
Right.
aided I think PT Mom.
He's really good. Yep.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. Yeah, and he was funnily enough, he was the first player I played against on Magic Online in the
Really?
draft.
Ever?
Yeah, no, like for
Oh,
the
in
in Lord of the
one of.
Rings,
Oh,
in Lord of the
really?
Rings. Yeah, and he just crushed me. He crushed me pretty bad. But
Nice.
um, but yeah, I ended up drafting a black red deck, and I just
Uh-huh.
kind of stuck with my team's plan for this limited format.
Yeah.
Like one of the big things overall was that 1/1 was like the most important body in the entire
Mm,
format, just
interesting.
because it's like 1/1s are like the best ring bearers, and they're
Ring
also the best
bearer.
blockers against ring bearers, which was
Right,
like
right.
which was huge. So I personally liked the green white decks a lot, but
Really?
there were the decks that like everyone else liked the least.
Well, and then
So
you wheel all the good stuff, right? Ideally, if you're
yeah,
in, but
yeah, but I just like kind of like went with the numbers more on this one
yeah.
and their analysis and their thoughts on the format. I just kind of like I passed pack one pick one Rosie, which broke my heart, and
Ooh, wow.
I took the book instead, the saga that makes a Mass
Mazard
One and
rule?
Mass Two,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and I just drafted a black red deck, and it wasn't like it didn't have like the best commons, like it didn't have like all the best removal spells or anything, but
Uh-huh.
it had a good curve, and I had a nice plan, and I was able to get there.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, black red, I mean, everybody knew going in that black red was going to be the most drafted color combination in the set. And there were a lot of players who were like, I'm just going to force it. Like, I don't even care if people are also forcing it. I'm still going to force it. Like, it's deep enough that you can and all this. So a lot of other teams were saying, like, oh, we should try and pivot and try and figure out if these, how do we draft these green and white decks just in case
Yeah.
black red just doesn't, open up. But you were in that seat, and it was getting past you, or at least there was not there were few enough people to your right that it was okay. You were still getting what you needed to have the deck come together, and it was good
Yeah,
enough.
because like the thing is, like black is the deepest color in the format, so
Right.
that's why like a lot of drafts, like because we had, especially in the house, like we had a bunch of drafts where like we'd have even as many as 5 players in the draft like be black.
Yeah.
So it's like so people generally like fight over black a lot, and one of
Right.
the strategies was to like kind of just pass black and like try and like find yourself in like blue red or
Blue
something,
red.
which was like
Yeah.
the I would say that's like if you're not black, that's probably the color combo that you'd want to be in the most.
Right.
So our team was like really high on blue red, and
Oh
but
yeah.
like was happy to draft like black anything, like even black green
Yeah.
we actually thought was pretty nice. So
Huh.
yeah, but
Interesting.
like
So you're 3 and
you know
0. You
yeah.
go into you crush that first draft, black red, perfect, just like we wrote it up, drafting the best colors in the format, and then you go into the constructed rounds, and you
Yeah.
promptly go what 4-1 in the first 5 rounds, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
won the first two, then I lost to. So I beat what was it? I beat, I think it was four color creativity to
mhm.
start. Then I beat a Rakdos Evoke on camera, which was a fun match.
Yeah.
And then I lost to Yawgmoth.
Mm.
And then round seven, honestly, I forgot what I played against,
It,
but I think it was another four color deck maybe. And then
yeah.
I played against was it Rhinos in the last round of day one, which was a pretty intense match against a really good young Chinese player. And
Nice.
yeah, I just remember like I had a really like key play in game two that won me the match, where I have Tron already in my hand to start,
Hmm.
but I didn't have any payoff, and he's on the play because I won game one.
Okay.
So instead of playing a second Tron piece and passing, I decided to play an Ancient Stirrings since I boarded into Chalice of the
Uh-huh.
Void. And
To
the
try
fifth
and
card,
find.
yeah, and the fifth card I looked at was Chalice, cast it,
Ooh,
and
paid
then he just
off.
like so like his agents and outbursts just
Yeah, he's
just killed
done.
him on the spot, and yeah,
Yeah.
that was like a that was a pretty like key moment to end day one for
Nice.
sure.
Yeah, drawing well, so feeling good
Yeah,
now. You're seven
yeah,
and one. Day one's over. Yeah, and not only like drafting well and playing well, but also getting what you need, like hitting that stirring fifth card. Like sometimes you got to get those kind of those hits. The variants
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of flowing your way and stuff. So nice.
yeah.
So you go home, rest, go back to the house, and then it's day two. And take us through the draft in day two. So it didn't go quite as smoothly as day one. I don't actually recall how you did on day two there in the draft.
Yeah, no, yeah, I went 1-1-1 in the second
All right.
draft. So it was a tough one. I had like Kai on my right, and which
Mm-hmm.
was that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Kai's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough pod, like great players. Obviously, like we're 7-1 in a PT,
Day two. Yeah.
and yeah, like I was between like very early on. I was just between either blue black or blue red,
Mm.
and like based the way the packs were breaking down, like it's like every other pick I was kind of dipping back and forth between like those two color combos.
You were blue
And
based, and then yeah, dipping in red and black. Kind of not
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, basically. So yeah, it was definitely a tough draft, and I feel like in the end I didn't end up with like as many playables as I would have liked, but
Mm.
then I ended up with like I felt was a decent plan, which was like
Okay.
I had like three of the survivors, the 1-3 the mills and
Peller
stuff.
gear.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
so
Plan B is
I was
mill them out, maybe, or what? What?
yeah, basically, and I had like a bunch of spells as well. I was splashing a Gandalf Sanction.
Nice. Yeah.
I felt like the deck like had enough to like for me
2 and 1.
to like just not even even just a 3-0, but like I just mean like
Oh yeah. Okay.
enough for me to like play Magic and be able to like find a way to win. But
Hmm.
yeah, I like beat Jake Beardsley in the first round,
Right.
where we had a pretty crazy game on camera where
Yeah.
I like the key turn against him was I I was able to resolve a Nazgul with and get it up to 4 toughness by getting back a creature that I blocked with Sam's Desperate Rescue.
All
So
right.
like so basically like I needed that creature in the graveyard and I needed him to tap out for me to
Yeah.
get to that point because I knew because basically in on the feature draft you get to see your opponent's pool. Like you don't know exactly what's in
Oh.
their deck, but you get to see every card they drafted.
Oh
So
wow.
I see he has
Okay.
2 Smite the Deathless. So
Yeah.
it's like, I need this Nazgul to survive.
I need to
So I
get to
was
4.
able
Yeah.
so I was able to get it to 4 toughness, and the Nazgul just won me the game in game
Damn.
3. So that was huge. Then against
Nice.
Simon, like game 1, I was able to mill him out with the survivors, and then
Hmm.
he like masterfully sideboarded into a Rise of the Day package
Yeah.
with like Strider and Shelob as like some of his big legends, and he
Hmm.
had like Old Man Willow as well, and he just like crushed me in the next 2 games. And
Yeah. Interesting.
then round 3, I played against a Japanese player who had like I want to say like a green white deck, which
Hmm.
with multiple Frodos, which was tough, and
Oof.
we ended up drawing like he beat me like on the second turn of extra turns or something in order for
Oh
us to
man.
draw because our game just like went our match went like insanely long. So
Yeah. Wow. So that's a weird one. Getting a draw at that stage, it really throws off the math with regard to, can I like, you're still in good shape to maybe top 8 or whatever, but that makes it a
yeah,
little bit weird. So then, okay, so the draft is over. Not maybe the result you wanted, obviously, just 1-1-1, but you're still in decent shape here. You go into the last few constructed rounds, and how is that final stretch? How does it look for you there? How do the games go? How do they break? What was the record
yeah,
at the end?
yeah. No, I felt fine with the 1-1-1 after. No big deal. And
Yep.
but yeah, going into the modern rounds, I was really fortunate because I just I guess because of the draw as well, I got put
Hmm.
in like the draw bracket, so I immediately
Yeah.
get paired against Greg Orange playing 4 color control. So that was a
Oof.
good matchup. And then the very
Yeah.
next round, I played against 4 color control again, and I beat that
And
again.
you're like,
So
you're drooling. You're just like, yes, more. Give
yeah,
me. I'll steamroll these decks all day. Yeah.
yeah, it was so it was 2 pretty fortunate pairings. Then I played against Simon again, and this time he
Yeah.
constructed. And at this point, he had like just conceded to Javier because he was paired down
Oh,
because he was
so
already
yeah.
12-0. He
He
was
was.
12-0, Yeah, he
Yeah.
was 12-0 and then conceded to Javier and then played against me.
Ah,
And then we had a, crazy 3-game set, and I like barely won it out. And
yeah.
that got me to my 11th win. So like I knew that it was possible that I was already in top eight, or maybe not, because I know that the last Pro Tour, I think 34 points got in, but
Right.
I wasn't really, trying to think too much of it. People were saying how like there were more players in this Pro Tour, so
Yeah.
it might not be enough. Like even 12-4 might not be enough.
Hmm.
So the next round I get paired into Javier,
Right.
and he's in the same situation. He has 12 wins, but he doesn't think that he
He's
can
not.
concede or anything. So
Yeah.
we play it out, and then he ends up beating me in a fun match. And
Yeah.
I was like super happy because Javier is one of my best friends, and
It's
him
awesome
and
to
I,
see that.
yeah,
And you and
him and I,
Simon
yeah,
on camera. Sorry to interrupt, but just, when you
yeah,
guys were playing a couple times, you're joking around. It's like watching two
yeah,
guys at an F&M. It's kind of like surreal in a way. I don't know if
yeah,
everybody watching at home thinks that you're buddies or realizes, but like with what's on the line there, it's awesome to
yeah,
see that. I saw that multiple times with you especially. You're like that with
yeah,
almost everybody, and I love to see it. But so you and Javier are
yeah,
buddies. You're happy for him that he's
mm,
kind of locked now for top eight. But your
yeah.
future is uncertain still. You're not sure if you're locked now after losing, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. So basically, like it was apparent that I still needed to win a round to get in,
Hmm.
but I still, I felt fine, and I kind of just felt the same way I did at the beginning of the tournament. I was just,
Hmm.
just happy to play, and I was just gonna keep trying my best every round. And then
Absolutely.
I ended up getting paired into my teammate Pivo, and
Uh,
he was on 12 wins because he had beaten Simon the round before to get there,
hmm.
and like based on his tie breaks, it looked like he was a lock even with a loss. So he ended up conceding to
He
me, and
scooped you in.
it
Yeah.
was it was like a pretty emotional moment for me because
Yeah, that's
that
huge.
like locking up another top eight was crazy, and like
Oh
you know
yeah.
getting to do it with a teammate as well. Like it was just like crazy that like we were like testing together, and he was like crushing me in testing, like and then literally like
And then he scoops you.
fast forward to like the last round of the tournament, and like he's in a spot where he can concede to me, and then we're both in, and it was just it
You have
was just
to.
like it was a crazy way to end the day,
Yeah, what a roller coaster. So yeah, you have to name your firstborn child after him or something. You owe him big time now.
Yeah,
But what a wild like tournament. It was insane watching that last round. I remember watching what is it, round number 15, and Alexander Hain and Kazuno or
yeah. I think
Kazuna
Kazune
Kazuna.
Kosaka.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and then they go to extra time, and I'm like, wow, this is a big deal because like their draw here might totally change the top eight. They give them 7 extra turns instead of just 5, and I was like, whoa, 7. I guess because they had a slow play warning earlier in the match.
yeah. I'm not
Anyway,
sure. Yeah,
so they end up drawing, and that changes the top eight. And yeah, so many. I think Dom Harvey just squeaked in there, and I know
yeah,
he
yeah.
was ecstatic.
He was also on my team, so it was like
That's
our
right.
team. Yeah, like our teammates were going crazy. Like when they realized that like Hayden and Kosaka were gonna draw, they were just like they were like going crazy. Like Dom was
Yeah.
just like on the side, like chilling. Like he's just like I don't know what's happening.
I
I'm just
can't
here,
watch.
Yeah, basically. And yeah, like when they locked it up, and we were just like, oh wow, like that's when we knew like that it was a clean cut, and that he
Cool.
was in. So yeah,
That's awesome.
it was crazy. Like in the end, we put 3 teammates into top eight, which was unreal.
Yeah, that's insane. You guys in Handshake dominated the tournament. They put a couple players. You guys put 3 players, and then
Yeah,
their Kai. Kai is everybody's
yeah,
just like, whoa, we get to play a top eight with Kai. Yes, I know
yeah,
everybody's like almost more excited about that than the actual top eight
yeah. And
itself.
it's crazy. Kai beat one of our teammates to make top eight.
Oh,
So
he
like
did.
we so yeah, we could have had four.
Holy
But
crap!
but
Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah. So it
incredible.
was he beat Sean Goddard, who's a beekeeper on
Oh
Magic
yeah,
Online, and
yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
awesome guy, and yeah, like it was crazy,
Cool.
but yeah, like having Kai in top eight, and then like once like the standings broke out, I realized like, oh, I'm playing against Kai in the top eight.
Yes,
Oh wow.
yes.
So yeah,
So here we are, the
I was excited.
quarterfinals. Yeah, I mean you're pumped. You're
Yeah,
facing. Not only are you top eight, so at this point it's just gravy. You've got your top eight. Hey, if I can make it
yeah,
to the semis, great. If I can go even further, great. But I'm just happy to be here. I get to play against maybe the biggest legend in the game, the goat or whatever.
yeah.
How does that match go? I mean, I'm sure Kai's a great guy. I don't know him
Oh yeah,
personally,
he's
but
awesome.
Yeah. So how did the match goes well, and you end up defeating Kai. Were there any moments in that match where you were like, "Oh man, you know, this is rough," or "I'm not gonna, I don't know if I can pull this out," or what have you? Were there any tense moments there in that first quarterfinal round?
Uh, yeah, honestly, like, not really. Just because, like, the games went like really rough for him. Like
Yeah.
he just had like a lot. He mulliganed a lot, which is not great for his deck. Like his deck doesn't mulligan well.
Right.
And yeah, I was just I had like some really like uh some really like fortunate draws against him. Like I was able to counter foothills with a warping whale, which is, or sorry, footfalls with a warping whale, which is
Yeah.
like it's
Huge.
pretty nice. It's pretty nice to get to counter that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like he never really had like any draws that like pressured me a ton and killed me
Huh.
fast, which is kind of what he needs to do.
Right. Right.
So it was
Interesting.
kind of like, fortunately for me, there was like maybe game three was a little questionable. Like I know I'd made like some sequencing errors like in casting my spells against him,
Hmm.
but other than that, like I never really felt like I was ever in danger of like losing any of the games.
Hmm. Wow, nice. So you have kind of an easy time, and now you're probably thinking, "Oh God, finally! That was the hardest opponent in the top eight, and I knocked him out. All right, who's next? I can beat anybody at this point." So we get to the semis, and what are you thinking in terms of the matchup here? Are you happy about this? Are you're
Um, I
okay or
mean, yeah, I mean, I was just happy, honestly. Like, I was just kind of happy with like whatever came my way, and
sure?
yeah, I was super thrilled to be playing against Simon again because Simon's also a good friend. Like, he stayed at my place before. Like, we tested a lot, like over the years. So, I
Sweet.
was like, it was fun. We got to play like a third time, and we were 1-1 on the weekend. So we got to
Right.
play a third, like, decider match between us. And yeah, I had
And
some really crazy games, and they were
mm,
really tough, and many mistakes were made. But
yeah.
I was able to get through in the end, which was crazy.
Oh, I loved it. Again, it's so funny and watching you guys and you're like throwing cards back and joking about draws and stuff. Like,
Mm.
I mean, I know you're friends and everything, but at the same time, this isn't you guys, jamming some games back at the house. Like, does it change at all? It seems like from where we're sitting on the other side of the screen, like you are literally like this looks like how they are at home, joking around, playing for fun, testing. But you're at the Pro Tour top eight, you're on camera, you're playing for tens of thousands of dollars. Is it different at all, or is it really just like playing him, back at the house
No,
sort of?
it's definitely different, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I guess like it was just also like, you know, it was just
Your
really fun.
friends, yeah, like
Like we're cool, like we're friends, like
hmm,
it's a fun moment. I was enjoying it, he was enjoying it. Like, yeah, it was just
that's
it was
awesome.
just sweet.
Yeah, he seemed like a really fun guy on camera and stuff. But so okay, then you dispatch Simon, and now you're thinking, here we go. I
Yeah.
get to the finals, but oh boy, it's not the greatest matchup. The one Rakdos deck, like I mean, God, if one of those Team of Rhinos decks had made it to the finals, it would have been like, oh boy, I've got this in
Yeah.
the bag. But Rakdos, so now what are you thinking? You're like, oh, here we go. You know what?
Well, I knew it'd be a really tough match, and but I also knew that I could win. I had already beaten the deck
You
once
did.
on the weekend.
Yeah.
And more or less, like, uh I know like there's gonna be a lot of mulligans as well, although that's not what happened. But
No.
I figured it'd be close, and in the end it was close. But
Man,
he
those
definitely,
games. Oh
yeah.
yeah. You go
I'm
ahead.
saying he definitely, he had some good draws though, and because he kept seven multiple times, which was really
Yeah.
tough. And yeah, and
I
he
mean,
played a great match, and he took it down.
the turn three Ulamog, everybody was just like,
Yeah,
"What?" And then
yeah.
the turn three Blood Moon on the play in game five. It's like, oh man, But game
Uh,
four. Oh yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say for game two,
Yeah.
when uh when he kept seven and he goes land go, I just knew it was over. Like,
Fair.
I just like, based on having played his deck before a lot, in the testing, I just knew that like that could only mean like he's only keeping a hand like that if it has like Voidwalker plus a discard spell. and I already had Ulamog Taupe in my hand because
I
but I also
know.
I think I had Natural Tron too.
You
So
had Natural Tron, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I
You had
was just
turn
like,
four.
oh
You had a turn four
yeah,
Ulamog, and he
yeah,
stole it and played it on turn three. Like that was so
yeah,
ridiculous to see.
yeah.
It
It was
was
crazy.
interesting, and he took the right line there.
Mhm.
Being aggressive like that, but it was super funny to see. And then game four. Oh
Yeah,
wow, was that ever an insane game? Just
yeah. I mean, I
the
did not
best
think I was.
game
Yeah,
of the top eight, maybe. I don't know, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, I definitely made some mistakes in that game. But I basically like regardless of any of those mistakes, like I just tried to play the game from that point forward, like from where I was in the game going forward, and I was able to find a way to get out of that situation and
Oh yeah, it
like
was
lock up
crazy.
the board and then just like kill him in two turns. Just had to fade
Well,
like the burn spells, but yeah.
yeah, and he had like he had lightning, he had the Crocs, where that one moment where you had the bridge down, it was all locked down. He had a bolt and a Crocs in hand. You're at was it five
Five.
life
I
or
was at
yeah,
five, yeah.
and you have a sphere in hand with the Walking Ballista and 2 mana up, and Cedric and Paul in the booth are just like, if he plays this sphere, he's dead. He's gonna
Yeah.
die to Croxa. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, and everybody, me included, everybody watching, that was the nail biter moment of the top eight.
Yeah,
Everybody was
yeah.
just like, is he gonna play it? And then you're like, pass. Now everybody's like, oh my god, I'll
Yeah.
keep activate the ballista. Brilliant. It was awesome to see. So you earned that game, and it would have been nice to see a little bit better game five there. It was just some of the games were so lopsided. It's the
Yeah.
stupid Rakdos deck. It's kind of like that.
Yeah,
But
no, it's the games kind of went down like, how they normally go,
yeah,
and yeah, it is what it is. But
it's a hell of a run, man. Hell of a
yeah,
run.
no, it was just cool to be a part of it. I was really happy for Jake as well. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it was like his birthday weekend. Like, he had his partner supporting
Yeah.
there the whole time, his teammates, his friends, and then like, you know, it being his
Javier.
first pro tour.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
First
so it
Pro Tour
was,
winning. Javier and
yeah,
Simon getting their back-to-back top eights. Like what?
yeah, yeah,
Back in the day, like I mean, when you were playing GPs and stuff, I was PTQing and going to GPs back then as well, but over in Asia, not in North America. But those days, seeing some, I don't think it ever. I'm trying to think if it ever happened. Back-to-back two people. I know there's LSV has had back-to-back top eights and some other pros and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I don't know if the
Yeah, I don't know.
same
I
two
don't know.
people.
I don't
It's
know if the same
crazy.
two people went back to back twice in a row. I'm sure
Yeah.
it probably happened like in the 90s or something, or
Oh, maybe yeah. Right.
it's
But
possible, but I'm not sure. But I mean, yeah, like those guys have been on a tear, man. Like, yeah, it's hard. You can't deny that the best players in the world are on Team Handshake right now, and we're all
yeah.
kind of just
Yeah.
chasing after them,
Well,
basically.
hey, I mean, Team Worldly Council being put on the map here, though. Three in the top eight. That's like, come on.
Yeah,
If they're the best in the world, you're right behind them. If not equal. But over the last couple tournaments, yeah, Handshake has really been doing well. But hey, maybe the next one, maybe the Worlds. Now you're
yeah,
qualified. You're going to Worlds. You're going for what, the next three Pro Tours as well, or
yeah.
something, or.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, damn.
yeah.
So
I'm
I'll be
excited.
there too. In September, we're gonna be at Vegas as
Awesome.
well, and
Sweet.
yeah, it's awesome. So the Pro Tour wraps up. You've gotten all the way to the finals, this close to winning it, but you're still, I'm sure, ecstatic to make it that
Oh yeah,
far, and
no, it was incredible. Yeah, I'm
that's
so
fantastic.
like super happy, honestly.
So celebrations, you stay in Spain a little bit longer. Everything wraps up. The
Yeah.
Pro Tour. Before we leave the Pro Tour, so what is it like for those people who've maybe never been and everything? How was it? The venue? I was hearing things about it being an absolute sauna in there and just super hot and
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Did you
Well,
deal with that or?
yeah. I mean, I was fine. I mean,
Hmm.
like basically, like I think in Spain, or I don't know if it's most of Europe, but I know specifically in Spain for sure. Like they don't like it's not like in the United States. Like in the United States, like they crank the AC up like a
Yeah,
ton,
I know.
whereas
Yep.
like they don't really do that out there. So
Right.
yeah, I know there was multiple people complaining about the heat and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I was
You were
fine. Like
nice.
tournament was awesome. Like it was great. Like there was a bunch of people like playing all sorts of games. Commander. There were like
Oh
other
yeah,
like limited tournaments. Like I mean, MagicCon is just a
it's a
pretty awesome
blast.
time, honestly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was cool like having a bunch of people like coming up to me and congratulating me, asking for pictures, supporting me and stuff. And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and you've been there before. So the one last thing I wanted to ask, as we close this up, your performance here and your run and everything, it's
Mm.
hard to not compare it to 2000. Was it 2009 in Pro Tour Amonkhet? I can't remember what year that
Oh, no,
was.
no,
Maybe
Amonkhet
no, that
was
was
2017.
so 2017, sorry. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
not 2000. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking. But 2017, the Pro Tour top 8 that you made then, like compared to what it feels like now, I mean, it's hard not to compare them for you. I mean, not in terms of how well you did and how much you enjoyed them, but also like the full production. You have friends at both, but was the vibe the same? Did it feel the same, top 8ing here where you had a bunch of friends in the top 8? I don't know if that was the case for your Amonkhet top 8
Yeah.
as well, or
No, no, yeah, I mean, Mama Katape, like, all my teammates were there. That was awesome.
right.
And yeah, I had a lot of friends there, and I had BDM there, who was someone
Oh yeah.
who, he was still doing coverage back then, and he was like one of the people I like grew up playing with, basically, because he was a
Oh
neutral
yeah.
ground, and I got to draft with him a lot. So, for
Awesome.
Amonkhet, it was like really special having him there. But
Hmm.
like for this one was also like super special, especially because like it was definitely very like unexpected. I didn't
Mm.
think like because I mean literally like last year, at the beginning of the year, like I'm qualified for nothing, and I
Yeah.
don't even really know like how much competitive Magic I'm playing, and then to get all the
Interesting.
way up to the finals of a Pro Tour, it was just I did not think that was
Yeah.
even possible.
You,
So
I
I
mean,
mean,
qualifying 1 month before, going there. You
yeah.
said you haven't even played Modern in like 2 years, 3 years. Like you never,
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
like that. That's my first like big finish in modern like ever. Like
ever. Yeah.
because like
Wow.
like even in the Grand Prix level, I never top aided a Grand Prix or anything, and I never top like my other pro top eight was standard.
Okay.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
it
That's
was cool to do
still
it in modern.
That's incredible then. That's even more of an insane accomplishment. So that's awesome. And now that suddenly you're qualified for all these big tournaments, you're just like, all right, I guess I'm playing a lot of Magic in the next like year or so.
Yeah, that's yeah. Like I was already like playing some Magic today, like getting ready for Worlds and stuff. So
Cool,
yeah, I
cool.
guess we're gonna be playing some more, and we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
So next RCQ season is modern, and the last thing I've got to ask you, as somebody who did so well in this modern pro tour, what do you think about, let's say people out there who are going to be trying to qualify this next RCQ season? Any suggestions? What would you play if I was like, hey, listen, Christian, I've got this huge tournament like in a week and a half. What do you recommend I play? It's a modern tournament. Should I play your list from the Pro Tour? Should I tweak it? How would you change it? Or should I play something else? Would you have, next week, would you switch to Rakdos? What would you recommend if I said, tell me what to play in modern if there was a big tournament right around the corner, post Pro
Yeah,
Tour, knowing what we know?
yeah. I mean, I think Tron would be a fine choice again as well. I mean,
Hmm.
I feel like I would expect that less people will play decks like four color though, so that could be a problem. I know
Uh,
we just had an unban very recently, which was
right.
preordained.
Preordain, yeah.
So to be honest though, that could actually be good for Tron, because I think
Right.
Tron is okay against like those like blue
Blue
decks like the
based.
Murktide and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just because you have like good big threats that are good at fighting counter spells like a Lamog and like Leveler. So
Right.
I don't know. I think I
Interesting.
think I think Tron could still be good. I
Yep.
would probably play something closer to Handshake though.
Some
I don't
dismembers
know.
maybe, or
Yeah, like I don't know about like three main or something, but I
one
would
or two.
definitely probably play something like that, and I wouldn't play Gigantha as a companion either.
Hmm.
I just don't think it's necessary, and the cyber slot definitely hurts. I feel so like it hurts
Yeah.
giving it up. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I would probably just like play something closer to what Handshake did, but I think
Cool.
I would play four Sylvan Scrying because yeah, that card is
Yeah.
just I don't know that card is just I just feel like it's just too important. So
It's got the best 4 words in Magic on it, right? Search your library for. That's all I
yes,
want to
yes.
do. whether it's fetching lands or fetching any
Yeah.
demonic tutor, give it to me. I'll take all the tutors.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So congratulations again. Yeah, you crushed the tournament. The future's looking bright. So yeah, the metagame is going to shift a little bit, but the decks are so powerful now. Like, I don't think Rakdos is going to be dethroned after seeing, it was the
Yeah.
most played deck at the Pro Tour and still had a
Yeah.
55% win rate. Even though everybody was expecting it, it still did pretty well. It's kind of like that deck's not going anywhere. The ring decks aren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
There's talk already of should they ban things, and the ring
Yeah.
is all this kind of stuff. What do you think about the like potential bannings in modern? Would you be happy to see something like the ring get banned in 6 months or something? Or I don't know, do you think it's fine?
I don't know. This was like I played Modern like years ago, and this I would say like this is the most I've enjoyed playing Modern. I just
Right.
feel like I don't know. I just like I just like these like the games where like you're kind of like forced to interact with your opponent and stuff because like that was like something that happened a lot with Tron as well. I mean, I guess that's why I like Tron and the red black deck, just because even if they don't do like they both had like broken starts, but then even if
uh
they don't do that, they still had a lot of ways to interact with the opponent and stuff.
yeah,
So
right.
yeah, I right now I've enjoyed playing with the ring and the bowmaster. So hopefully they keep them for a while.
Yeah, and I like it too. I played Modern back in those days too. I mean, I played Splinter Twin and Pod, and back in the like after
Yeah,
that there was Modern was not good for a long time. Like before Modern Horizons, it was just like Storm and Infect and Affinity and Dredge and these decks that like there's no interaction, right? Like they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
ships passing in the night. They're just trying to combo off or do their thing. They don't care about what the and those were like that. Modern was not in a good place back then. You're right. Like now it's much more interactive, but yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we're headed in the right direction. So yeah, I think you make a good point. I don't think the ring should be banned anytime soon, but I guess we'll have to see going forward. This RCQ season should
Mhm.
be interesting. But
Yeah.
well, that was awesome. So to wrap it up, what's on the horizon for you? Are you going to be still playing a lot of poker? I know you do play poker and Magic. Now the focus may be shifting to Magic, maybe, or what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm finally back at home and after the vacation and I haven't go back to work and stuff, so I'm just doing a bunch of work right now, but I expect, like my testing is gonna slowly like ramp up for Worlds, and so I got,
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to that the most. Like we already have a house and we're
Oh
gonna be
wow,
out there. Yeah, we're gonna be out there for like testing for like at least I think we have at least like 4 or 5 like full days before lock to test
nice.
in person, so that'll be really nice. And I love
Yeah,
Vegas. I've been to Vegas a bunch of times, so I love eating
yeah.
out there a lot and playing poker. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I might play a poker tournament here and there just because like I feel like it's good to not like be like just all in, like just doing Magic
Obsessed.
24/7 and like
Yeah.
not really like taking much of a break to do other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll probably be doing a little bit of everything,
A little
and
bit
yeah,
of
I'm just
both. Yeah.
looking forward to playing at Worlds.
That is awesome. Yeah, and hopefully I see you there. I'll have to try and catch you and say hi or something. I also, yeah, I enjoy poker and stuff. I'm trying to like not get distracted by that. I want to try and just do the Magic Con thing when I'm there. But
Yeah.
but for you, yeah, testing house, you're gonna be there for a week or whatever beforehand, and
Mhm.
yes, yeah, yeah, make your way over to the casino once or twice, not a big deal. But
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. Why don't you tell
yeah.
everybody where they can find you, your social media handles and whatnot?
Yeah, no, Twitter is just the best place, or X. I'm not I'm not sure where we're at now,
X,
but yeah,
right,
it's
right.
yeah, it's C Calcano on Twitter, and
See
that's the
Calcano on
best place
Twitter.
to find me, and that's where I'm the most active.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Christian. I really appreciate it, and good luck in all your future endeavors. And yeah,
Yeah,
good luck at Worlds coming up.
yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, and one more thing I wanted to talk about, as a part of our little Easter egg at the end of these interviews. I didn't know this, but I was, looking into your, wiki and trying to find out like stuff because I've heard your name for so many years in Magic. I've been, watching you on coverage and everything for a long time and reading your name in top 8 lists and GPs and other stuff. But then I saw oh, he plays a lot of poker. And, I used to play poker for many years. I was not super, semi-pro or anything, but I played a lot and played a ton of online poker. And I was looking up some of your finishes and stuff, and I was like, holy cow, Christian uh, Calcano. What is your math calc master? Or what is your poker nickname? You have like a poker nickname, Christian Calcano something. It's on a poker site, and I was like, "Whoa! You finished in 2020. You had a top table finish, final table in the World Series of Poker. Is that
Oh,
right?"
yeah, I was on online cash. I was like playing on my phone in a hotel room in New Jersey. It was like the
Okay.
first time. It was like the first time I left my house, like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was like, and yeah, because you had to like be in the state to play. And yeah, I was just like playing in a hotel room alone on my phone, and I made it in a $400 buy-in. I made it all the way to the final table and got eighth for like
Yeah.
14,000. So
You
that
were
was pretty fun.
eighth. I was like, holy cow. And then I see the article they called you, yeah, Christian Calc Father Calcano. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that was
whoa.
the username. Yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic. So I love to see it. Now, the one question I had for you after discovering this little Easter egg with poker, I know there's a lot of overlap with Magic and poker. I mean, I'm a good example. There's many, even pro play, David Williams and some other,
Yeah, yeah.
famous poker pros and stuff who also play Magic. How does it compare? Top table in poker, top table in Magic. I mean, for the money and stuff, it can be different, but in terms of like the pressure and everything else, I mean, obviously Magic, you're playing with a bunch of friends. Poker, you probably don't know most of these people at the table.
Yeah.
And how does it compare, high level poker and Magic? Just curious.
I don't know. It's just I mean they kind of just both like excite me in different ways, I guess.
Okay.
But like it's funny though, like the World Series of Poker though specifically, like the live series
Hmm.
in Las Vegas, because the final table that we're talking about just now that I had, it was online, like I said.
Right,
So, but
right.
like
So
playing
you
live, like at the World Series, it kind of just feels like being like at a Grand Prix like every day, basically,
just
because it's
tons
just
of
like,
people.
yeah, because there's just thousands of people, like everyone's just grinding away, like all the you see all these tables, all these dealers, cards in the air, chips flying, like
Yeah.
it's just super cool, and that's why I've been going a lot, like the last 3 years. Like I've been going more than
Hmm.
in the past, because
Cool.
before I used to go like maybe for like a week or like a few days or whatever. I would get to play like one bracelet event or whatnot, but then like in the last
Hmm.
few years I started doing it more, and because I enjoy it a lot, and yeah,
Cool.
it's just like they're both pretty exciting. Like
Yeah.
I guess with Magic, I just feel more at home because it's
Oh,
it's what I've done like pretty much like my whole life. So
right.
yeah, they're both special, I feel, and yeah, I mean, I hope I can have like a deep run in like a big live tournament as well in poker someday. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this year later or something. But
Yeah, I'd love to
yeah,
see
no,
that.
it's it's nice to get to play like for like high stakes, and
Yeah.
like all your like decisions matter and stuff. Like it's the same thing in Magic.
It's yeah, similar, right? Exactly. Yeah, very interesting. Oh, I love to hear it anyway. So thank you for that, and thank you again for the interview. And take care, Christian.
That's, yeah. Thanks for having me.